everybody. Once again, I'm Liam McCrackle Jr., aka Zorbalachan Less Than Guru, and today I would like to first apologize for my Palladium Nintir Veil playthrough. It didn't, and here's Mars Video Cat, it did not record my players, it only recorded my voice. So I'm not sure what happened there. I will have it fixed and tested next time before I play. But I apologize. I went ahead and posted that because I don't think that not having that would be worse in case somebody is watching everything. They don't get a 2 hour and 45-minute playthrough that is not there, and hopefully maybe hearing what I say and looking in chat, you'll be able to understand what's going on. So first off, I apologize for that. Also, I had my microphone way too close to my mouse, so you could almost hear all my clicking and all my typing. Yes, Mars, I will pay you some attention. So, having said that, there are a few topics for thought and discussion that I have been thinking about. And the one today I want to talk about is like group styles and player styles of role-playing. And it's basically, it doesn't necessarily need to be old school, new school, but I do see where more old school is one way, and then this middle area, kind of some new types of role-playing games were being created and developed, and then there's been a shift to a new type, and all three of them I appreciate, and I've played in and game mastered and have liked. I have my personal preference as a player. I have slightly a different preference as a game master, which is interesting. And I will explain those to you. So the first thing is looking at old school. Old school game masters basically explained everything. They are known as the storyteller. And this is before storyteller became kind of a certain term for the game master in certain games. But what I mean by that is the game master came up with the plots and the adventures and described rooms and areas that the player characters went to, and then the players would use what was described, and they really didn't add anything to these scenes. So if the game master didn't describe anything, a player might ask, hey, is there something? Is there this? Is there that? And the game master usually, if they didn't want it in there, just said no. And there was then a kind of, you start that pendulum type thing that goes. So you had it where it's basically the game master tells you what's there. There isn't really much more. And then there gets to be in this middle ground. I don't want to say middle school. There's old school, new school, but this kind of middle area where there would be games like Ars Magica coming out, and a lot of games that were troop style play. And in there you'd have multiple game masters. And so one day you could be game mastering, and the next day you could be playing. And then depending on what the adventure was, maybe you're playing this character, or maybe you're playing this character. Or sometimes, and in one Ars Magica adventure session, I guess it wasn't really an adventure at all, a session that I had, I remember we were all role-playing our characters, our Magi, our mages, and there was no game master because it was all in character. We had I guess you could say I want to say the core, but it was the exact opposite. It was like the outside stonework building of a mage tower that we were designing the inside for. And it was in character, and we were deciding what to buy and what rooms and who would be where and all of these things, and it was all in character. And I specifically remember it because the one thing that all of us agreed on were when we had our council room where we would all meet to discuss things, we wanted comfy chairs. And that was the main thing. That was the point that every single person agreed on, and it was probably the only thing all of us agreed on. But it was that type of thing where everybody's contributing in game. We weren't just pulling things out of thin air. We were talking about it as if we were our characters and deciding what we wanted to buy, what money we had, what resources we could get to, and all of that in the game. So that's the trope style game. They're the troop style game, sorry. Then the pendulum swings over towards a lot of new school type games coming out relatively recently within the last decade or so, although its origins go back further. But a lot of player contribution or collaborative role playing, where the game master kind of just puts a plot together and the players help fill in that plot. And that's where you could have the game master kind of describe a loose area or room, and the players fill it in. So, say you roll really great on an encounter roll, whether that's a combat encounter or just a interaction encounter, and then you add to it as a player. So you roll really good, and to explain the roll really good, you add something to the scene, or you suggest heavily to the game master that that's what you got. I'm doing a persuasion roll. This is the thing. In Toward Eternity, that would be like a player's call. So that type of thing goes all the way back to 1990, but the players determining an outcome of it. It's not just the game master coming up with the outcome. But as time gone by, that's becoming a very popular thing where you have this collaborative system of the game master and players working together to produce a story for everybody. Now, having said that, I'm not going to say any of them are better or worse. As a game master, I love Toward Eternity. I love when people give me players' calls and we can figure out what's going on. I do not like where it's just, I want them to surrender. I intimidate them. I want them to surrender. They're the big bad end guy. They're not going to surrender. Give me something else besides just that I win button, because player calls aren't too hard. It's only 2 successes. But I'll work with players. I have a great time being able to do that. And if you go to Roll Hit Die, the channel, either Twitch or here on YouTube, then you can see how I do things like that. But as a player, it's interesting because while I don't mind when other players do it, I don't want to do it. And I'll tell you why. I am a person who likes to take what's in the world and figure out how my character reacts to it. So I usually don't pick classes that have a lot of instant lore, instant I know that thing. I see that happening a lot in my Pathfinder game that I'm playing, and I don't necessarily like it very much. I like the game enough that I stay around and play it, and I don't whine and complain during it. I've had discussions with the game master of that game about other aspects, but when, say, we encounter a creature or something and it's just, oh, roll your knowledge skill and now you know about that creature, I don't really enjoy that. What I enjoy is if it's you learning about that beforehand, like you realize that that thing might be there, so you ask the town, the villagers, hey, you know what might be there? What are your things? If you get an actual, this is a basilisk or a Medusa or something like that, then maybe you go to a library and research it. Maybe you find a sage, maybe you do something, or maybe you just show up and you don't care about it. But that one roll, and I know so much things about it, those tend to, I don't really like those. It's a reason why, as a player, when I'm in a system that I'm not game mastering, I will very hard try not to learn rules that don't directly involve me. In my Earth Dawn game, my character is a weaponsmith. I will look at optional rules, and if I am interested in another discipline, I might look at that. But right now, I'm not really big in magic and the mages of Earth Dawn. So I don't know how those rules really work. When other players do it, I'm like, like, oh wow, that's a cool effect, that's a cool thing. And it's kind of the same in Pathfinder. When I was playing through Iron Gods, my character at first was a gunslinger, and so I learned the gunslinger rules and got those down, but I didn't learn about any of the other players' rules. Now I understood certain things because I know all of the D&D that's based off of. I played BECME, I played first edition AD&D, I played second edition AD&D, I played fourth, I have the fifth, and while I never played third, I had lots of friends who, when 3.0 came out, when it was just third edition, they talked constantly about it. And then when 3.5 came out, they constantly talked about how better that one was than 3.0, how it fixed all the rules. And then when Pathfinder came out, they talked about how Pathfinder had fixed everything from 3.x. So I heard about it a lot, so that stuff kind of stays there. The things like spell slots and who has to who has certain known spells and who gets the whole list and all of that I kind of understand, but I don't deep dive into it. Like, I know what a magic missile is, I know what it was in BECME, and I sort of know because of that what happens in Pathfinder, but I don't actually look up that spell to know. I do not like knowing what other people do because I like that surprise. I like when the game master gives me some stuff and I can work with that stuff in the game. But I understand a lot of people don't like that. They like having an influence in what's happening in the game, and that's where they have their fun. So it's just something that I found was interesting, and why I don't always agree with the assessment that everything old school is bad and that new school has evolved. I just see it more as new school has added new options that, depending on you and your group and your game master and the system and what type of story you're trying to tell or participate in, because as a player I want to participate in the story, I do not want to tell the story. There is lots of different variables in there. So basically, with this thought and discussion, leave a comment below. Do you like collaborative? Do you like where you as a player, not as a character, but do you like as a player adding things to the story? Do you like putting things in areas? Do you like describing the way your character succeeds and fails and adding things to that? Or are you a person who likes having that told to you by a game master, and then depending what happens to you, then you adjust your things accordingly? So if a game master throws, if you have, say, critical misses in the game that you're playing, do you want to say what happened to you, what bad thing happened to you, or do you want the game master to tell you the bad thing that happened to you, so then you can react to that, and that's how you get your fun? Personally, that's how I like it as a player. As a game master, either one, and I understand different people like different ways, so I'm willing to work with the players who like adding things to it, and I'm willing to just make up stuff that happens to the people that want to be more reactive in that way. So let me know what you think, and what do you like? Do you like things differently as a player, as a game master? As a game master, do you just want to let the players come up with stuff, but as a player, do you want the game master to tell you, or do you have that reverse? Do you like it as a game master where you just set things and you hope that the players react to the things that you've set in there? Or do you, but as a player, do you like to add things to it? So basically, that is the thought and discussion for today. So if you like this content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you like the video, you can give me a thumbs up. If you dislike the video, then I will cry, and you can give me a thumbs down, and I will sulk for a little while. No, that's fine. I understand not everybody has the same likes and dislikes. So having said that, I'll go ahead and stop this video. Next time, I would like to talk about game masters adding things, adding abilities, just not necessarily on a whim, a lot of times for a specific reason, but adding little abilities and stuff that normally a player character couldn't have, and how you can work that into a game as a game master. So having said that, I am Liam McCrafton Jr., aka Zorval Chan Less Than Guru, and until next time, I will catch you later.